Welcome to Just Break Up, the podcast about love, heartbreak, and all the relationship advice you don't want to hear. My name is Sierra DeMulder.
And I'm Sam Blackwell. And today we're going to answer a letter from somebody who's afraid that she'll be cheated on again. But before we begin, we just want to give you our Surgeon General's warning, which is that Sierra and I are not licensed mental health practitioners.
That is correct. We are not professionals. We are not trained in this. But we have been doing this for 5 years. Five and a half. Really.
That's a lot. Yeah.
That's wild. Yeah. But 5 years, no less. Please take our advice as you see fit. We are only here to offer our humble musings, so hopefully shed some understanding and maybe some laughs about the incredibly rewarding but mostly confusing experience that is love. Okay, so in lieu of a check-in topic, we're going to just give you a couple, administrative updates about our Just Break Up world.
That makes it sound so exciting.
It sounds, yeah. No, we just wanted to update you about a couple things. First, this week we're going to air the last new Just Break Up episodes of 2023, and we're going to take the week of Christmas off. We have done this every year, except for last year. I don't think we did it for some reason.
I don't know why, but we didn't.
But this is a really good time for us. We've been putting out weekly episodes, like we said, for 5+ years. And it's just a nice time to have a little bit of break, be a little bit more present with our loved ones. So thank you. Thank you for supporting us. Taking that space and time for ourselves.
For sure.
If you need Just Break Up bonus episodes, first of all, we're gonna air a Patreon episode Wednesday next week, just so y'all who don't support us on Patreon get a taste of what those episodes feel like. And also, starting January 1st, we are going to be running a special campaign. It's not even a campaign. It's just like us asking you all.
It's like a goal
for something
that we have for ourselves. Yeah.
Yeah. Starting in January 1st, we're going to change over our Patreon subscription levels just a little, not a ton, making a couple little changes. And we wanted to tell you about them.
Yeah. It's been a while since we've gone hard on getting folks to subscribe to our Patreon. And the reality is that our Patreon is the main driver of the sustainability of this podcast. We are reliant on you all deciding that our content is worth money to you in order to to be able to create it. And we're so thankful that so many of you have said yes to that and have supported us meaningfully over the course of the 4.5 years, 5 years that we've had a Patreon. And we're asking more folks to sign up this month because we want to make sure that we can continue to do this podcast in a way that is workable for Sierra and me. And so this month we're asking 100 people to sign up for our Patreon because we know that you all are out there, that you're listening, and we think that you all want to be part of a community of people who are supporting two people who are making good content, and to show that you really appreciate how much this community has come together to create a space where folks feel affirmed and loved and seen, because we are only as strong as you all are. Because it's so funny, because it's we host this podcast, and yet so much of the work that we do is dependent on you all just tuning in and loving each other and talking to each other on the Facebook group and engaging with each other in so many different ways, right? This is a community podcast is how I like to think about it. And we're asking you all to step up this month to support the sustainability of the work that we're doing.
By this month, Sam means January 1st.
Yes, absolutely.
So starting in January, we have this internal goal, I guess external now. It's a community goal to get 100 new patrons over on our Patreon. And if you've never supported us on Patreon before, I really love it as a platform. It allows you to subscribe monthly. You can cancel anytime, so it's not you don't get locked in. And right now our offerings are for $5 a month. You could sign up just in January for $5 and then cancel it. For $5 a month, you get access to a bonus weekly episode in which we, do a deep dive into a topic where we get a little bit more personal. We answer Patreon subscriber letters. That's a bonus episode that comes out every Wednesday. You'll also get access to the back catalog of the bonus episodes we've been making for 4 years, Sam said.
Yeah.
So there's like 200 plus bonus episodes at your fingertips that you get access to. It doesn't start at zero. You get access to the whole back catalog. Yep. And one of the things we've changed is at $5 a month, you also get access to our monthly Just Break Up office hours, which is a monthly Zoom hangout with Sam and I, and the community members who show up, where we hang out on Zoom and we answer your questions live. So if you have written to us and we haven't, answered your letter yet, or maybe you've got like an immediate burning pressing question, or maybe you just want to know like what our favorite, hot dog toppings are, you can come to the office hours, hang out with us and ask us questions live. If you want to subscribe for a little bit more, like if you want to, give us like a tip on top of that $5 subscription, you can subscribe for $10 a month. And with $10 a month, you get access to our 3 primary episodes that come out Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. You get access to those episodes for ad-free and all on Monday, and you get access to everything that we said at the $5 level. But you'll get the primary episodes ad-free, all out on Monday if you want to listen to them all at once, like we used to put them out. Sure. So yeah, those are our new subscription letters. As Sam said, like we do rely on you 100%. We are an independent podcast, and so $5 might not seem like a lot to you, or maybe it does, but right now right now you can get a medium latte for $6, and that like still blows my mind.
Yeah, Sierra's so really upset about this, y'all.
I just can't believe that.
She can't believe.
We are going through an inflation, y'all. I've ranted about this so much, like privately, so I'm just going to bring it to the public forum right now. We're going through an inflation right now, and all prices are going up everywhere. And I keep saying to Sam and Spencer, like, should we raise our Patreon price? And we've decided no. We really like that it's this $5 thing. That it's just a $5 catch-all or $10 catch-all. So we're not going to raise our prices for you. In fact, we're giving you more for less, but we're asking you directly to support us. If you've been listening to us for years, man, I'm sounding like an NPR pledge
you're really
drive right now.
Like your inner Steven Skeep or whatever.
But it's genuine, y'all. I know, we get so many letters from y'all that are like, I've been listening from the beginning, or I've been listening for the last 6 months, and I show up in my relationships differently because of the advice you give. And that means so much to me. I really, truly, my day is made by those notes. And also it would mean so much to Sam and I if you could, if you can financially choose to support us, it would be so meaningful to us. We're setting the goal of 100 new patrons. And at $5 a month to one person, that's not very much, but 100 of you, that would make a huge difference in Sam and Spencer and I's professional life for this podcast.
That's right. And the reality is that like this podcast is just 3 people, right? We're not part of a network. Like the amount of money that you put into Patreon isn't going to somebody you don't know. It is literally going into the pockets of the 3 of us, right? Like, and
if you could think of your $5, like it gets, we pay a percentage to Patreon, and then the $4.70 that's left. Imagine tipping Sam and I $2 and then Spencer gets 70 cents. To be honest, it's a little bit skewed differently because we pay each other hourly, so Spencer gets like more.
But still, no, absolutely. Like anyway. That's what it is. It's like literally handing us a $5 bill, and we're just like, thank you so much. I really appreciate this. Like we like put it in our wallet. Like that is what is happening with that $5. So like, if you want to support creators, if you want to support 3 people who have been doing this work for the last 5 years, this is the best way to do it. This is the way that we would love to support our podcast 100% of the time. It's just by folks being willing to give us $5 a month, $10 a month, whatever is meaningful for you, because that's meaningful for us to know that our listeners want to support us with actual cash. We really love it.
Yes. And one more thing that I forgot to say, that I just want to add really quickly, is that if you are in the position to be able to subscribe for more. You don't, you could subscribe for whatever number amount that you want if you want to like give us a tip. But you can also choose an annual subscription where you like pay for all of the months up front. And you get, with that, you get a 10% discount, which means you essentially get 2 months free. So like if you want to pay for, $5 a month for 52 weeks for the whole year, they knock off 10% and you actually pay $50 for the whole year.
Yeah, which is awesome.
So, anywho, sorry for the PBS or the NPR membership drive thing, but it's genuine, y'all. We haven't really pushed Patreon for like more than 6 months. So, we have to do this to make sure that we can still make this podcast happen for you. And we're really proud that we've been running for 5+ years. And we want to keep going. We want to keep building with y'all. So 100 new patrons, that's our goal starting January 1st. Maybe if we hit that goal, we'll like have a party or something like a popcorn party like we did in school. But yeah, okay. So you can subscribe today at patreon.com/justbreakuppod. Well, subscribe January 1st if you want. Technically, we'll count anybody who airs.
Yeah, I think ever since when this episode airs, we'll start counting.
All right, y'all. Let's dive. Let's do what we're good at and dive into a letter.
I love it.
All right. Our letter today is from Old Hurt, whose pronouns are she, her, who is writing to us from an unhealed place. Hi, Sam and Sierra. Gosh, the self-work is just never ending, huh?
So true.
Thank you so much for everything you do for us, JBU listeners. You've helped me so much in my current relationship and to make sense of my past ones. But my question is coming from a wound that just won't heal. I, 30, she, her, am currently in a relationship of just under 2 years with a truly wonderful person, 32, he, him. And I'm just so happy. He makes me feel safe, heard, appreciated, loved, all the good things. When we come up against an issue, we talk about it in a way that I've never been able to with partners before, in no small part thanks to your podcast, where we both feel heard and come away satisfied. One problem I just can't get past, however, is old wounds from being cheated on in previous relationships. My first relationship ended with them cheating on me one time where they kissed someone that I know about for sure, and another time where they allegedly had sex with a friend of theirs, which was seemingly confirmed by everyone around us, including the person they supposedly had sex with, but not by them. The occasion I know for sure I was cheated on, they were going out for their first night out at college. They were a year older than me and I hadn't gone to college yet. And despite being someone who often feels jealous, I said to them, don't worry about messaging me. Just let me know when you got home safe at the end of the night and enjoy yourself. Of course, I woke up to no text, panicked, and tried to call them. And eventually they answered and were vague about what happened. And it took me almost a week to get them to admit that they had cheated on me with a girl at the bar. When I asked how or why it happened, their response was, I'm not sure. I didn't even want to kiss her. I think this lack of reasoning as to why it happened has left me on the back foot when it comes to healing. I guess my anxious little brain says, if I don't understand why it happened, how can I stop it from happening again? I know, I can't stop it happening, but try telling my brain that. In my most recent long-term relationship, she never cheated on me as far as I was aware, but she had sent flirtatious messages to people she had dated in the past and tried to hide those sort of things from me. Cut to my current relationship, and even though my sensible brain tells me this guy is all in with me, would never hurt me, has only ever been honest with me, I can't help but go into panic mode over the tiniest things. I kind of feel like a car that has been broken into a few times, and now the car alarm goes off even when someone brushes up against the door. Deep down, I know that this isn't a break-in, it's just someone walking past, but I've been broken into multiple times in the past and I don't know how to protect myself in any other way than sounding the alarm for anything that could look like a break-in. It's a great metaphor. I guess my question is, how do I quiet the car alarm? How do I listen to my current partner tell me a story about a friend who he finds really funny or interesting without hearing the alarm and thinking this person is going to be a problem? In short, how can I chill the hell out? We've had conversations about our boundaries and what we consider cheating, what things we are cool with but would rather know about, and what things we're totally fine with. So I feel secure in that to an extent, but I want my partner to feel like they can tell me about what they've been up to without triggering me. I want to show them that I trust them. I want to leave this annoying old hurt out of my new amazing relationship. Any advice onto what to do here would be so appreciated. Thanks again for everything you do. Sending so much love to you both and the rest of the JBU community.
Oh, old hurt. Thank you so much for writing to us. I think that this feeling of the metaphor that you have is just like so good, that like thing of like, somebody just walks past and suddenly the alarms are blaring. And that feeling of having what feels like a really outsized reaction to like a normal thing happening is really hard. Like when we're looking at ourselves and being like, why can't you just calm down? Like, this isn't a break-in. Like, why are you sounding the alarm? Like, I totally understand how frustrating that can be. And like the idea that it kind of like feels outside of our control, right? It's like, oh my God, this thing keeps happening and I can't do anything about it. Every time my partner talks about somebody they like, I'm like, alarms, alarms, alarms. And I empathize. I think that a lot of people probably really understand what it feels like to have some of these, like, I would even call it like a trauma response, like come up around stuff that's like, this isn't happening, but it feels like it's happening, right? Like that our bodies are just like not responding in the way that we would expect them to. And I think Sierra and I are going to offer some advice on how to maybe reframe some of the stories that you're telling yourself about why this is happening or why the things that have happened to you in an effort to try and kind of rewire that alarm so that it's not quite as testy as it currently is. But we're also just going to offer a lot of empathy and support to say that, sometimes this happens, right? Sometimes our alarms go off for no reason. And the important question we can ask ourselves is, how do we support ourselves? How do we respond when those alarm bells are going off for us? So we're going to get into some of that practical advice, some musings in just a second. But before that, we're going to take a quick break.
All right, my darling, welcome back. And thank you for writing and trusting us with this letter. It's one I really relate to as like a very anxiously attached person who I'm really good at being hyper vigilant and looking for hurt. I'm really good at being like on alert for things that will hurt me. It's
for sure.
It comes off as like a defensiveness sometimes. It comes off as a sensitivity sometimes. It comes off as a trauma response sometimes, as Sam said. But I've come to really just see it as a hypervigilance that I've learned that my subconscious thinks will protect me. And as you said in the letter, it doesn't really protect us, does it? It just tricks us into thinking that if we don't do this hypervigilance, if we're not on constant alert looking for things that could hurt us, we're going to get hurt even more. So yes, deeply relate. I want to start with just like a couple ideas. One that I think I came to on this show at some point years ago. The idea that trusting your past partners, like trusting that partner who was in college or whatever, trusting them and saying, have a good night, text me later. That's not what hurt you, right? Yeah. What hurt you is their behavior and them overstepping the boundaries of your relationship. Trusting your partner, trusting your current good partner, trusting the things that he says, the behavior that he shows you, that's not a sign of weakness or, you're not going to that's not going to make you fall into a trap that you didn't see, right? Trusting is the good thing. Trusting isn't what hurts us. The other thing I want to talk about is, that nervous system response that you have, that car alarm metaphor. I want to tell you that our hypervigilance isn't actually very smart. That car alarm isn't smart. As you said in the metaphor, when somebody brushes up against it, it goes off, right? Mm-hmm. So we've been taught to listen to that hypervigilance. We've been taught to listen to that car alarm. But what we need to retrain ourselves is to not, it's not that we need to retrain ourselves to not have the car alarm, although that is a good goal to have down the line. The first goal is to hear the car alarm and to know that it may not be telling us anything intelligible. It might just have been like the wind. Do you know what I mean? What we have to retrain first is how do we react to the car alarm? And then once we know how to choose how to react to the car alarm, then we can work on turning the car alarm off, right? And by that, I mean, so he starts talking about somebody he finds really funny. And you feel that nervous system spike. You feel your adrenaline spike, and you're panicky. And all of a sudden, all you can hear when he says, "Oh my God, they're so funny," is they're so much funnier than you are, right? That's when you literally need, like, me identifying that my nervous system was triggered during those times was so important to me, because I realized that once I got my nervous system to relax, once I got like my blood pressure down or whatever the fuck, that's when I could really like think, okay, what is really happening here? Is he saying, oh my God, this person's so hot and funny and attractive and I want to bone them and I'm going to leave them for you? No, he's saying, oh, this friend is so funny. And don't we want our partners to have funny friends? Like, don't we want them to laugh and find pleasure in their friendships? Yes. Sure. So how do we calm our nervous system down? Counting to 10, time, like vocalizing what's happening and being like, okay, I just need to calm down a little. Like, for me, it's because it's so physical, I have to do something physical to like oppose it. Like, so
for sure.
I'll go in, honestly, like sometimes when I'm triggered, I'll go in the bathroom and I'll look in the mirror and be like, take a deep couple breaths and be like, this isn't what you think it is. Your wife doesn't want to leave you. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, this isn't it.
Absolutely.
This ain't it, girl. Come back again another time, because this ain't it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. I think one of the things that I have been thinking about recently, because this is something that my therapist actually said to me, which is that, like, when we're in that panic mode, we're like trying to have a rational like conversation or argument with ourselves doesn't actually work, right? Because we're like a child who has become dysregulated, right? What we need to do is to like tend to the hurt that's happening. So like when those alarm bells start going off, instead of being like, oh my God, stop being irrational, right? Like, that's, better than this. Sometimes what we actually have to do is be like, oh my God, I'm so scared right now, right? Like, and how awful is it to feel so scared, right? Or, oh my God, yes, I'm experiencing this like moment of panic because of everything that's happened to me. Like, how it's really hard to feel this panicky, right? It's not fun to have these alarm bells go off. So how do we like care for ourselves as if we are children, right? As if we need tender love and care.
Oh my God. I'm literally picturing my toddler having a meltdown.
For sure.
And like, even when she's irrational, like the other day I gave her I gave her a blue spoon. And we don't own an orange spoon, right? Her alarm bells were screaming, man. But we don't own an orange spoon. But I can't tell her that. Like, that doesn't comfort her. You know what comforts her is like me hugging her and telling her, like, it's okay, I'm so sorry. Like, it's okay to be upset, It's okay that you want something. Like, oh, maybe we can go look at the orange paper instead of the orange,
I love that.
fork or whatever.
Solutions
and that
oriented.
sounds silly, but like,
it.
how do you? It's really about redirection, which applies in this thing. You know what I mean? How do you redirect
also
yourself?
True.
How
Absolutely.
do you
We are just like, we are little toddlers all the time, just like having panic attacks.
We just are. Having a toddler is a study in my own human emotions, because we think we're rational. We just have more language. That's all.
That's true. That's really true.
Anyway, so I always love when Sam talks about like soothing his inner child. Because it's really what we have to do, though. Like, what's happening here? If you're me and you take yourself to the bathroom for a second to like do your deep breaths and look in the mirror, my style is more like a mafia person being like, get out of here, But what it should be, what it should be is, or I'll break your fingers. What it should be is you look into the mirror and you say like, you're safe. It's safe
Yep.
to trust someone.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay to trust. It's okay to feel afraid to lose someone right now because you obviously care about this person a lot. It's okay
Yep.
to be afraid. But it's also learning how to comfort yourself with and also, because then that comfort turns into this. It's okay to be afraid. And also, I'm not going to let that fear dictate how well I love this person.
For sure.
It's okay to be afraid, to be insecure. And also, I'm not going to let my insecurities be louder than the actions and words of my partner. You know, I'm going to make space for both of these things at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. And I think, you know, like the redirecting can happen only when we tend to the regulation that we need to do, right? Like the care that we need to offer ourselves, the love that we need to say, like, this is, yeah, oh my God, it's so hard to be afraid. Yes, I understand. Like, you love this person a lot and you don't want to lose them, and you're really scared that that's going to happen. And then once we can do that sort of like tending to ourselves, it becomes easier for us to start redirecting some of the patterns of thought that we have about what is happening, right? Like I'm from reading your letter, you know, you shared how, you know, the person that you were with when he was in college, like you were like chill and you were good and you didn't ask for anything. And then look what happened, right? This idea that somehow you caused the fact that this person cheated on you. And even the idea that you have here of like, if I just knew why it happened, it would feel better, right? Like I would be able to make sense of it. And I want to tell you that even if you knew why it happened, it would still hurt.
Let me tell you.
Right? Like it's, yeah, absolutely. Sierra can testify.
You don't want to know why. You don't want to know why.
Doesn't
it fucking
help,
hurts.
honestly. Right? Like I think that
guess what? Like in like a very real way, I can tell you why. Because they were drinking and they went out and they were flirting and it felt good and they followed that feeling. At no point did your ex say, this is because I don't like my partner, or this is because this person is hotter than my partner. This was a drunk, immature choice that had very little to do with you. And that's honestly, I know that's so painful because then you're like, because they weren't thinking about me. But at least maybe now in adulthood, you can say it wasn't that I wasn't enough. It had little to nothing to do with me. They were following an immature joy. It wasn't about picking someone over me.
Right. Absolutely. And it wasn't because you were like chill, right? It wasn't because you wanted them to go out and have a good night, right? Like, I think sometimes when we've experienced like this pain of what you've been through, right, we come up with these stories that are designed to help keep us safe, right? Like, okay, it's because I did this and then this was the outcome. So if I don't do that again, it won't happen again, right? Or if I can understand why this person did the thing that they did, then I can make sure that next time I am prepared for that. And I will do this, and this to make sure that this thing doesn't happen or they're not in this situation again. And like Sierra said, the reality is that like, it has so little to do with you. And I know that sounds like really callous, but that's not, I'm trying to say it in a way that is like freeing, right? In a way that is.
In those moments, they're not like, oh my God, this is because I don't want this person. It's because they are whatever.
It's so I'm going to do this because my girlfriend said that it was okay that I didn't text her tonight, right? Like that's, like that's the logic that we're kind of following, right? Or I'm going to do this because I have a very rational reason that I'm not going to share with her, right? Like there's so like, it's so funny to like say some of this stuff out loud because it like sounds so ridiculous. And I also know that like those are the stories that our brains tell ourselves about like what is happening here. And so what I want you to be able to do is to soothe yourself when the car alarm goes off, instead of being like, stop going off, car alarm, instead of being like, oh no, we're panicking, right? Like we're afraid right now for lots of justifiable reasons, even though it feels like somebody just brushed past, right? Like, no, somebody just brushed past. And also the car has been broken into 17 times. So yes, it's a little testy, and like, that's okay. That's understandable. And to do some of that, like, holding of the feelings that you're having. And then thinking about, like, this idea that you have of like, tell my brain this. And I'm like, I do want to tell your brain this. And I also need to make sure that your heart is okay, because your brain's not going to listen if your heart is panicking, right? Like, your brain's not going to listen if your heart feels like no one is understanding it. So how do we do both of these things at the same time? Which is to say, yeah, absolutely, it's understandable why the alarm is going off. And the alarm is hard. Like, it's not fun. And it's not because you're stupid or crazy or whatever. It's because, like, you've been through stuff that has caused your alarm to be a hair trigger, and holding yourself in that, and then saying, okay, and also we're believing a particular story about why this happened, right? We're believing that it's because we weren't lovable. We're believing that it's because we were too chill. We're believing that it's because of just like wild whims that this person was on, and that we should have known so that we could do something different, and instead decide to start believing something different, right? So when those alarm bells are going off, holding yourself and then saying, I know the story that we're saying is this, and also what we know to be true is that it had nothing to do with me. It was because of 17 million other reasons besides just me. I don't actually have any control of it. So how do I care for myself in the reality of that lack of control? How do I need to hold myself to say, this is hard, this is scary, and vulnerability is always scary and always hard.
Yes. And like, from one anxiously attached cutie to another, I guarantee, something I had to really tell myself and come to terms with is that, like, I could look forever. I could look for hurt forever, right? Because it's vulnerable to trust. It feels vulnerable to be in partnership with someone after being hurt, And I could look to this day in my happy married relationship, I could always want to pick up her phone. I could always ask a couple extra questions about the new exciting person in her life. We can look for things that will hurt us forever. And the looking will be what hurts us over time, not the trusting, not the relationship. So, the next time you find yourself listening to that car alarm, do everything that Sam and I have already said. And also tell yourself, like, how long do I want to listen to this? How long do I want this fire alarm to be the thing that I measure the temperature of my happiness to? Because we can do it forever. We can. You and I can. And at one point we have to choose not to. We love you so much, and we know you can make change in this moment. And we also know that you are, worth loving, you're worth trusting, you're worth staying with, and you're worth tending to. All of these wounds are worth exploring. We hope this helps. Thank you for writing.
Absolutely. We love you. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for listening. If you would like more content from us, or if you would like access to our office hours, our monthly office hours, where we get on Zoom and chat with folks who support us on Patreon, you can always support us on Patreon for as little as $5 a month. You'll get an additional bonus weekly episode. And now you will also get access to those monthly office hours. That's patreon.com/justbreakuppod.
You can slide into our DM, send us your favorite relationship meme, but most importantly, you can submit your questions about all matters of the heart at justbreakuppod.com, which is also where you can find our merchandise.
Please remember to like, follow, subscribe, give us a 5-star rating and review. This literally keeps our mics on and helps us reach more brokenhearted souls who need two random strangers giving them relationship advice.
Just Break Up is a production of David Media. Original music, recording, editing, producing, all magical things by our good friend Spencer Worth Davis. Make sure to check out his podcasts and music. And remember, trust isn't what hurt you. People in their own foolish human way did, because we all have the capacity to hurt one another. But trust, vulnerability, being open, sharing your life, that's not what hurt us. Those are what connect us. And if all else fails,
just break up.